Good evening and welcome to this IRIS presentation from DQS. Before starting, I would request the attendees a few ground rules to be conveniently, make it. There will be a live Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If you can remember the slide number, it would be very nice. Otherwise, also we can put it in the chat in that. Okay. Next slide, please. This is the agenda for today for today's presentation. These are the presenters for the today's eminent speakers, Mr. Girish Silswal and Mr. Yasin. Mr. Girish, he has been a pioneer in this, and he's a head of management system assurance and expert and lead auditor in ISO 22613, that is the IRIS standard, and a few other standards. Has vast experience in the industry as well as in the auditing experience. Mr. Yasin Malik is also one of the lead auditor for ISO IRIS standard 22163 and IATF standards. We are DQS, we are the first German's first certification management systems. And as we go through this presentation, I would like to share you a few details on the DQS company. We are established in 1985, and the objective of the company to be support the industry with impartial and objective and independent assessments. We have strategic shareholders in the industry, German partners, German Society of Quality, German Institute of Standardization, Underwriter Laboratories, and other German industry federations. Together, we make the DQS. We have a global presence in about 2,500 auditors are there in 65,000 certifications, 1,45,000 audit days, and we are a part also IQNet members. We have rebranded ourselves right from UL DQS for the people who are known to UL DQS to DQS UL to DQS in the year 2022 as a part of lean organization, and we are a global one organization. Our information can be known to or seen at www.dqsglobal.com. Next slide, please. We have done pioneering innovative solutions, and you can see we have the first in the world, a few of the accreditations. We are the first certification in the IRIS for worldwide. We have a few first auditors for ISO 16949, TL 9000, Aerospace AS 9100, then ESD 2020. These are the few of the pioneering standards which for which we are having the auditors. And the only CB to have veto power for ISO 16929 and also maximum auditors for ESD 2020. The only CB to have the medical doctors on board for ergonomic assessment, and we have the fastest certificate turnover date, that is from the right from the closure of that particular NCs to the date of release of the certificate. We give about 14 days of time. That's the turnaround time for certificate release. Next, please. You may look at the industries we serve, around 200 standards with 25 verticals and 65,000 certified locations in almost every industry we serve, taking it from the complex industry, from aerospace to the locomotive to automotive, etc. In the certification portfolio, that's a basket of services what we offer. We have the sustainability 1 and sustainability 2. We have the normal ISO 14001 based on EMS, 50,001 environment management system, OSHA's 45,001, and going into the more specialized stream into sustainability on carbon footprint, social responsibility, and going into the IT and 27,001, BCMS, GDPR, along with the legacy products like standards like 9K, ESG 2020, then compliance management, etc. And then the aerospace standard in all the three versions of aerospace, AS 9100, 9110, 9120, and food safety ISO 201 FSSC, medical ISO 13485, and the transportation IATF. This is a basket of services. You name it, we will be able to give you services on this particular product portfolios. Next, please. To take the market leadership positions in the railways, we are having a market share of 37% and first in the market position with the total certifications given. In the aerospace, we are third in the market position. The automotive, we are the fifth, and ESD first market position, and telecom, we are in the market position of one. Next, please. Apart from this, we also offer you a tool of services for the DQS Next audit organizer, document organizer, and supplier management, wherein right from the scratch we can start implementing the audit organizer based on the internal audit or the audit systems. Document manager is similar to your SharePoint services where you manage your documentation, and the supplier audit manager is based on your suppliers audits, scheduling, questionnaire, etc. The automated seamless automation process on the digitization based on the SaaS platforms. These are the tools, additional tools based on our expertise we have developed for you. These are paid tools which we can offer you. Next, please. We have a lot of variety of services which are into the digitization of the supplier assessment tools. Normally, the supplier assessments will have a lot of questions and the different verticals, different polls, what we can offer you based on these questions, maybe based on the assessment quality management systems, which can be into the retail, franchise, logistics, and warehouse segments, etc. Going to the complicated, IT infrastructure, cyber security, etc. And these also include the questions on human rights, transparency, due diligence. So holistically, we have a few assessment tools which are, the questions and assessment questions are based on this, so that it can solve your supplier risk puzzle. Next, please. Going forward, I would request my subject matter specialist, Mr. Girish Silswal, to take it forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rajshekhar, and good evening, the ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about the IRIS, literally stand for International Railway Industry Standards, the revision 03. So as its name is, it's the first international standard for the railway industry. We call sector-specific standards. What is revision 3? Actually, this standard was published first time in 2005 as and the author of this standard was UNIFI, which is nothing but a European network of the European railway network. Now, since this was a European standard, it did not become an international standard when it was released first time in 2005. It got revised subsequently as revision 2, and from 2005 to 2017, there were almost 900 sites in the world were certified. It was not being considered as an international standard and therefore not getting acceptance beyond the Europe or some countries in a limited extent. To analyze it, in 2017, the UNIFI worked with the ISO and they released as a ISOTS standard, so called ISOTS 22163, and they also put as the IRIS revision 3 because revision 1 and 2 was already existing. And in 2017, the revision 3, which was released, became the first international railway industry standard. So that's a reason for revision 3, and that's a meaning of IRIS. Now, since it became international standards, there are two major part of it which makes it the IRIS. The first one is the ISOTS 22163. The ISOTS 22163 is a ISO is a more or less ISO standard released by ISO TC committee. When we say ISO standard, more or less means It is having the ISO requirement as a base, and additional sector-specific requirements have been added in it. So ISO requirement plus additional sector-specific requirements, where it is called a supplemental requirement, makes it a IRIS standard. Now, this a company is supposed to implement within the organization. There's also a booklet called IRIS Certification Conformity Assessment 2020. Now, this booklet is a rule book. It's called IRIS Certification Rules. Now, this rule book talks about how the certification body shall be approved, how auditor should be qualified, uh, what should be the standard expects that the process approach based on the turtle has to be deployed. So, what is the approach? It also talks about the audit methodology, which a certification body is supposed to follow or adopt during the audit. So it talks about the three pillars: the enabler assessment, the process performance, and the customer perception. All those aspects are given as a part of the Certification Conformity Assessment 2020 rulebook. However, a company, when they implement the standard, the major book or the major requirements are given as a part of ISO TS 22163, which a company is supposed to implement. The standard comes with a set of technology tools. The first one is there's an assessment sheet which contains all mandatory and optional questions. There's an audit tool which is used by the certification body, and that gives you a scoring of against each question, that what is your maturity level, and based on the maturity level the scores are given from 0 to 4. This tool is also available on the portal, and companies can also purchase it. The cost is almost €1,000, and you can use it for the internal audit. But this is optional. It is not mandatory to use this tool as a tool for the internal audit. However, this tool is mandatory for a certification body to use for the certification audit or surveillance audit. As a part of technology, there is also IRIS portal, and the data IRIS portal is also called database, where the audit results are stored and shared. All the companies which is IRIS certified worldwide are registered on this portal. So if any company says that I am IRIS certified and they continue to meet the requirement of certification, then their name should be reflecting in the IRIS portal. In fact, day for yesterday, I was in Kapurthala, and somebody shared with a company who claims to be IRIS certified. When we looked at the certificate, it was not reflecting on the portal. It means it was not the authentic certificate. It was a fake certificate. So if you want to check the authenticity of the certificate, whether the certificate is genuine, then the company name should be reflecting on the IRIS portal. So there are three technology things which comes in the part of it: the IRIS portal, that the tool, and also the assessment sheet. Now, if you look at this database, also works for a good marketing tool. Any customer wants to know or wants to have a supplier which is IRIS certified, and so if he wants to have a supplier for a particular scope, because IRIS also comes as a part of a scope, that for which part the supplier is certified. Are you supplied for underframe or bogie, or you're supplying for the panels, or you're supplying for the braking system? That clearly shows in the portal, and that can work as a good marketing tool for your potential customers who can search you through the portal. There are certain other things which are pretty new in this case. There are IRQB guidelines available. There's a International Railway Quality Board uh, which supports UNIFI in terms of managing this program, and there are guidelines available on certain topics. Because IRIS is a new standard and relatively new, I would put it this way, there are a lot of expectation from the IRIS, but then how do this expectation should be known to the company? They have released these guidelines, and a company is supposed to get these guidelines and understand, and then implement in the organization. A good part of it that these guidelines are available at free of cost. So you can go to the portal and you can download these guidelines and you can go through that. Couple of guidelines which are there is one is a KPI. The KPI is a very important element in IRIS. Uh, it says for each process there has to be KPI, KPI target. There has to be target. KPI more or less you can say objective. So it has to be measurable. It has to be a time bound. There has to be a target for that. And if you're not achieving the target, then there has to be corrective action plan for that. Now, what are the expectation on this? It is all mentioned as a part of this KPI guideline. There are also mandatory 10 mandatory KPIs and 7 optional KPIs as a part of standard are given. Those are also given as a part of this guideline. So before you set up your KPIs, please go through this guideline. It will definitely help you. The second one is the first article inspection. Third one is the maintenance. Now, first article inspection is more like PPAP. We'll talk about this later. So, if you want to understand more about it, many times people contact us. They say, "Sir, can we have a format of FAI, or do you have a format?" See, as a certification body, generally we do not keep any of these formats. We go to the company, we see the formats or records or systems, we evaluate them, and we leave there itself. We just write some evidences and come back, whether they are meeting the requirement or not. But if you really want to see the formats, there are two documents which are available. One is the first article inspection guideline itself. Second is there's a booklet published on small and medium scale SMEs. If you see the third last in the list, so all these formats are available. You can download it and you can use that. A very important guideline is available on the maintenance. Now, what is the maintenance? The railway works on the three major segments. I would put it this way. The first one is the company who into design, the company who is into manufacturing of the railway system subsystems, and the third one is the companies who are into maintenance. You may find companies who are into design only, you may find companies who are only into manufacturing, and you may find companies who are only into maintenance. And in rare cases, you may find company who is also into design, manufacturing, and maintenance. All three are possible. But maintenance itself is a big business, a separate business. If you see even from the government perspective, you have ICF, MCF, and RCF, which are into manufacturing, also into design. Then you have loco shops, which are only doing the maintenance of those trains, train sets, and loco sets. So if a company who is only into maintenance, then how do they implement uh, the IRIS? So what is the meaning of those IRIS clauses with respect to the maintenance activity? Then please go through the maintenance guideline book and you'll understand what is the meaning of those clauses with respect to the company who is doing the maintenance activity. Then the RAMS LCC, then you have obsolescence management, special process. The special process plays a very important role here because railway products falling in the heavy engineering industry. Obviously, the failure of the consequences of the failure are pretty heavy. Railway is considered a highly safety critical system, so you need to maintain those special processes, whether it's a gluing or it's a riveting or it's a welding or it's a painting. These are all considered as a special process. What type of control you need to have in special processes, right from having the risk analysis in terms of FMEAs, the validations, the process validations, the revalidations, the operator qualifications. Obviously, because being a special process, you cannot control you cannot measure the output. So what you need to do is to control all the process parameters. So, and they're also, if they are standard available 15078, or if other standards available for that particular process, then you need to comply to that. So you'll find all this detail in the guideline. Problem solving. All the standard, right from the ISO 9001 till IRIS, it talks about all PDCA. So when you check and then you find the issues, then you need to solve the problem, solve the issues. There can be internal rejection, external complaints, external rejection, warranty issue. You need to solve the problem. So what are the tools and techniques you're supposed to use that, starting from 8D to 4D, and the fishbone diagram, other RCA methods, all has been defined as a part of problem solving guideline. Configuration management guidelines also available. You can go through that. One of the newest addition, some of these guidelines were there earlier also, before 2017 also. They have been revised now, but One guideline which has been published as a new one, that is SMEs, that is small and medium scale in the engineering industry. So there has always been a question. People were feeling that IRIS is a very advanced standard, much ahead than its time, and but how a small and medium scale company can meet the IRIS requirement, which are pretty sometimes resource intensive. For example, most of the places it says that you need to have a tool for that, costing management tool, the project management tool, even the recording for the customer complaint. There has to be automated tool. The people are finding very difficult to do that. So similarly, there are many other requirements which a company, small scale and medium scale, feel how do they manage that. So it's an excellent guideline. SME is an excellent guideline. Please go through that. And I would reiterate once again, at the end of it, there's a link given. I think it's on page number 40. Page number 40, you click the link, and you will find all the formats there, starting from FMEA, the DFMEA, the process review formats. There's also a format uh, for the FAIs. So many formats are there. So that is then project management. Again, there was a talk about it. The project management, all the phases, right from the planning, the integration management, resource management, how a small company or medium scale company can implement. And let me tell you, when we started auditing the IRIS, we found that project management is a very unique requirement compared to other standards. We have been auditing. I've been personally auditing for IATF, for telecom, for ESD, for anti-bribery, for all those different standards. But there's nothing like what project management in IRIS talks about as compared to any other standard. So understanding itself is a big challenge. Second thing is a company who is into design and manufacturing and uh, uh, in detail start from scratch. And there are also companies who are producing the product per customer drawing. There are also companies who have standard products. Look at the bearing manufacturer, look at the fastener manufacturer. They have standard products, and then somebody is only buying out of the shelf those products, or some small modification you do in the product, and then you supply to this. So the extent of project management, you need to apply in those cases depending on the product which you have. The class A, class B, and class C categories is well defined in the part of project management guideline. And the last is the customer perception. Customer perception is a requirement which talks about uh, when this standard 2017 version was released. There was a customer. It is like any other sector-specific standards. You have automotive telecom standard where automotive OEMs they develop the standard for monitoring the performance or improving the performance of the supply chain. Same way, railway also did this for improving the performance of the supply chain. They feel that even if a company is IRIS certified, they are not feeling the improvement in their performance. So making it more specific customer focus, they have put the three pillar in this 2017 version. The first one is enabler assessment, where which talks about maturity of the each requirement, how it is implemented in the company, and based on that, the score is given from 0 to 4 against each requirement, and you get a score. The customer perception is how does customer perceive you as a company in terms of quality, in terms of delivery performance, in terms of uh, your satisfaction, how you're able to satisfy the customer in terms of perceptual thing, maybe the response time, and in terms of accommodating their requirements, how fast you're developing the products for to meet the customer requirement, how flexible in your approach to accommodate their requirement. All this comes as a part of customer perception. Which is taken through a feedback form or some other feedbacks. Then your delivery performance includes the warranty performance and also the customer rejection performance. All these three put together become the customer perception. So how do you manage it? How do you monitor it? The good guideline has been given as a part of customer perception. So these are the gaps actually, which was earlier not understood, and we have given as an auditor, we have given feedbacks in past to Unifi. There are also various mechanisms to get these inputs from the market, and depending upon those feedback, they have developed these guidelines. And last 2 years, I would say, these guidelines slowly have been released one by one, and it has made the job of companies far easy, and also for auditors like us far easy to explain the company, because now there's a reference guideline available which is released by IRQB, which is a body of Unifi. As an authentic source, these documents have been published. So please go through these documents. Now how to download these documents? You can go to the portal, and then you can download these documents as a free of cost. irqb.org/publication, and there you can register yourself and download. So question also becomes, what is the applicability? Who can get certified for IRIS? There are some standard like aerospace, where even if you're not supplying to aircraft business or we call aerospace industry, you can still get certified because you intend to be supplying to them. There are industry like automotive, where unless until you have a purchase order and you are manufacturing, you cannot get certified. So where does IRIS falls? IRIS falls very similar like automotive. You need to have a customer, you need to have automotive product which you need to be supplying to railway industry, and then you can get certified. So you need to be belonging to it means you need to be a legal entity or registered organization. You need to have a autonomous business management system. You need to be doing at least one activity out of design and development, manufacturing, or maintenance. If you are doing more than one, it's most welcome. But at least one activity you must be doing. You need to be eligible for one IRIS scope listed. Now, IRIS scope is not given like any other standard. You would have seen ISO 9001, they say manufacture of precision part. Even in IATF also, they say manufacture of sheet metal fabricated part or painted part or welded part or heat treatment. They have process, heat treatment process, you are certified. Here it is not certification of process, it is certification for the product. Whatever product you're supplying to railway, they are divided into 20 product categories. If your product falling in one of the product which is falling in 20 product category, you are eligible for certification. If your product is not falling in 20 product category, then unfortunately you're not eligible for certification. I keep on getting various inquiries from the market. Recently, almost 2-3 months back, one of the company who makes the track maintenance machine, track is a very important part of railway infrastructure. They make those trolleys which moves on a track, and they came to us that can we get certified for IRIS? We looked at it, and we found that it is not listed in any of the product in 20 product categories. So we have to say sorry. As of now, it is not possible. So that's a I would say challenge. So when you need to be supplying to railway, you need to be doing either design, development, manufacture, or maintenance, and then the product name which is given is a part of your drawing. You have to just check whether most of the time it will be falling in this 20 product category, but rarest of the rare case it may also not fall. So please check with us or anybody else who is knowledgeable about it, about the scope. You need to have 6 months data of implementation. So the standard is not like you say today all formats are ready, I have implemented tomorrow, can I get certified? You need to implement this system for a couple of months. Standard says you need to have 6 months data. When a company goes for certification, we ask 6 months data as an evidence, and also 6 months data. We are supposed to review the 6 months data before we make the audit plan and we go for the stage 1 or stage 2 audit. So the 6 months data of implementation is required before you go for the formal certification. The railway business typically falls into 3 product categories. One is a rolling stock. Rolling stock is nothing but a train. So a train which moves on the track, so that's a rolling stock. The signaling which controls the movement of the train, so if supplying to any of the part of the signaling or any of the part of the train, you are eligible for IRIS. Or infrastructure. So you're supplying to track or anything related to the track. You're supplying to infrastructure. Other thing is the boom barriers, the ticketing counters. Then also you are eligible for certification. While we say that you need to be doing design and development, manufacturing, or maintenance, but no partial certification is allowed. If you are doing design and development and manufacturing, but you say I don't want to include the design, it is not allowed. Similarly, if you are doing manufacturing and maintenance, but you said maintenance I do not want to include, it is not allowed. If you're not doing it, it's okay. But if you're doing it, then it has to be included as a part of your certification. The reason is that the partial certification means you're trying to hide the weak processes, which is not allowed as a part of IRIS rules. These are 20 product categories, starting from RS01 vehicle body, vehicle fitting out, and if you look at the end, it says special single rail components. It also talks about the components related to special process work. Each of this, there is a standard called EN 15380-2, which talks about the MPG designation, which is major product group categories. And if you see on the left hand side, on the right hand side rather, apology, right hand side, they call SGP. That is, so it's a major product group category, and then there's a small group product category. So each of these vehicle body can be divided into various sub products. For example, the vehicle body, the underframe, the crash texture. So this is the booklet. Just to explain it, I have put one example. And then vehicle body can be further divided to the frame, intermediate ceiling, structural partitions, the cab frame, the obstacle deflector. So when you show the drawing, the drawing name what is given there, the part name, you will find ultimately as a part of SPG group. And this way, how we identify your scope is IRIS 01 or 02, because there's a clear correlation that this part is a part of say underframe or vehicle body, and vehicle body is a part of vehicle body, and that's how your scope is given. So you get certified for say design and manufacturing of vehicle body or maintenance of the braking system 06. So there's no process involved. It's all products involved. So that gives so IRIS scope is given that which product you are being certified. Even though the system gets certified, not the product, but it's a design and manufacturing or design, manufacturing, maintenance of IRIS 06, IRIS 08, IRIS 01. And it has a consequence because auditor also need to be qualified for that product who comes for auditing your company, and the certification body should have an auditor in India for that scope. So it's very critical. If your product is falling in say 17 rolling stock, in India only 1 or 2 auditors are available. Similarly, for other electrical part, there are only 3 or 4 auditors in India are available. So you have to be very particular when you identify the scope. When you're looking at business with the certification body, you have to ask them, do you have auditors in India fit this particular scope? Only having auditors like other standard is not enough in IRIS. Audit cycle also, like it is a typical 3-year assessment, like any other standard, and certification time, whenever you are ready, you can go for it. However, surveillance time, it is different than other standard. 90 days before supposing your registration audit is done in January 15th, 3 months before the surveillance audit has to be done, because there could be major issue or minor issue in surveillance audit. So revisit is required, NCs have to be closed, file has to be reviewed, everything has to be done by the 15th of January of next year. It means it is not only audit has to be done, everything has to be done. If everything is not completed, even say last activity like review is not completed, the certificate becomes null and void, and company has to start from readiness review and stage 1 and stage 2. So if you're already certified, or if you're going for certification, if you have been approached 90 days before, you have been approached say 6 months before for fixing the date of 3 months before the registration audit date, you should not get surprised, because that's a requirement here. Similarly, recertification audit also has to be completed 90 days before. 90 days means 3 months before. Before every audit, you need to submit the confirmation statement along with data 60 days before the audit, 2 months before the every audit, whether it's certification or surveillance audit. 60 days before, you have to submit the last 1 year data. First time you may be submitting 6 months data minimum, because 6 month data implementation is required. Surveillance audit, you have to submit 12 months data, that how your performance is. Based on that, the lead auditor will prepare the report as your audit plan minimum 1 month before it will send you. So this standard is not like 1 week before CB says your audit is next week, and 1 day before audit the agenda is given to you. This is very, very well planned standard, well planned audit, and very well tracked by the Unifi through their tools. When you look at today, it's still a very niche standard. 2,308 locations worldwide are certified. 135 locations are certified in India, and 50 locations are certified by DQS. So you can see we are clearly a market leader in it with 37% market share. Some of the companies which are certified by us, which includes the government organization, the multinational private organization, also a small scale company. So from small to medium scale and the large scale, all type of companies are certified by us. Now, coming back to why this IRIS has picked up over the years, you see how the railway business, and particularly the metro business, is growing. Almost 13 metro systems in 18 cities are working, and there are 50 cities the projects are approved. So you will see every year certain some of the cities the new metro projects are coming up. They're all funded by World Bank. So you will not find because of any recession, because of other changes, these metro projects are getting delayed because the funding is done from the World Bank. We see the 30-35% growth in number of railway coaches manufactured every year. So one is the metro, second one also you see the Indian Railway, a lot of new trains, upgradations are going on. So you see the number of coaches which are being manufactured, there's a significant growth. But what is also expectation is from their side that the quality and the reliability of the product should improve with the time. So they also expect that the systems which a supply chain have should be in line with the IRIS standard. They also expect the life cycle cost should be less. The life cycle cost is nothing but the cost of acquisition, which means when you buy a train, when the government buys a train, or any operator like Delhi Metro or Bangalore Metro, Kochi Metro buys a train, there's the initial cost, and the uh, train system works on 35 years of the life cycle. So it is not like automotive where, say, maximum 10 years life is considered. The government allows up to 15 years before you can take off the vehicle from the road, but typical 10 to 15 years maximum. But the railway works on 35 years of the lifespan. So what is the operating cost? Very similar like Suzuki, say kitna deta hai. So very similar. Like it means your running cost of the train, which includes the how efficient the train is in terms of energy consumption. Also the how frequently the breakdowns are taking place, the life of the various component, the failure of the various component also plays a part of it. So they want to reduce the life cycle cost. So not only the initial cost, but the failure should be less, the part life should be more, and therefore they are expecting more and more advanced systems to be implemented, and RSA is one of in line of that. If you see the recent projects, uh, typically if you see the metro project, Delhi Metro came with 2 years warranty, Pune also came with 2 years warranty. Typically these projects comes with a 2 year warranty. But the recent project which are coming, government realized that uh, after 2 years maintaining these systems costs huge money. Now they are floating tender with the 14-year, 15 years warranty along with the initial cost. So they are saving now when they are bidding L1, when they are awarding the L1, they also know that this is the cost for the 15 years, not the cost for 2 years only. Because then you have better control on that. You want to save the life cycle. You want to be sure about what will be the running cost for the 15 years for me. At the same time, the system integrators and the system suppliers who are bidding for it, they have to make sure that the part life is optimized. Otherwise, they may get the order, but they will incur the loss afterwards. So they also are using more advanced. Now, first of all, the product design is getting robust day by day. Also, they are also deploying more of a predictive maintenance tools and techniques so that the reliability of the part can be improved. They also know that the maintenance time downtime can be reduced, because when you say the life cycle cost, it also includes that how much downtime you have because of the preventive maintenance, because of the corrective maintenance, and all those. So a lot of new concept, new technologies coming in this field because of these expectations. High reliable product and the life cycle cost optimization by implementing the robust system like IRIS. And that's how the IRIS is getting and being demanded by customers more and more with the time. This is the ISO TS standard is an international standard specifying business management system requirement. You would have noticed when ISO first time came in 1987, it came as a quality assurance standard. So ISO 9001 or 9002, when it came in 1987, this name was quality assurance standard. The purpose was that the standard was developed to ensure the quality of the product, more of a QC work. And therefore, if you find, typically the quality head used to be by default the MR of the company, because the system was to assure the quality of the product. And 2000 when so after 1987 it got revised in 1994 with some minor changes. 2000 version which came, the big change which has come was that it made from quality assurance standard to quality, quality management standard. The quality management standard means it is to manage the business, including the quality of the product, not only the quality of the product. And therefore, the customer focus, the process approach, and the continuous improvement three important elements came into the picture. And IRIS goes one step ahead. It says business management system now. What is business? So you'll find the only standard where it talks about uh, the budget planning. The budget planning was the business plan. The business plan also, some of you, if you are familiar with automotive standard, particularly QS 9000, used to be there as a part of business plan. But the budget planning, I never see any standard. So the IRIS talks about the budget planning, which is a typically company done by senior management along with the finance. People used to ask, sir, finance is not getting audited. What is the reason? Now, this is the standard where finance is getting audited. I know some of you are having a lot of questions because this is blipping, but don't worry, we'll take all those questions at the end of it. Keep those questions parked. You can note down those, but we'll take at the end of it. So this is a business management standard to manage the business, and a lot of business is managed by the senior management. You will find a lot of requirement from the senior management is being incorporated as a part of the standard. Important element of it, one is ISO TS standard, which a company is supposed to implement. The second one is IRIS rulebook we talked about, and third is a technology tool, the audit tool, portal, and database comes as a part of this requirement. Now, previously I talked to you, I think there's some disconnection in that. So how do you download this IRQB guideline? Go to the irqb.org portal, click on publication, then you register yourself. They will ask your email ID, your name, and your position, and then you can download those IRIS guideline, and those guidelines are free of cost. It will come in your email, so that's how you can download that. A typical question people ask generally that I'm ISO certified, because in railway industry so far Indian Railway is asking ISO 9001 only. So for them it's a big jump from ISO 9001 to IRIS requirement. They say I'm ISO 9001 certified, how much more effort is required, how much more time is required for IRIS. So if you look at the pictorial view, the green requirements are ISO 9001 requirement. These are the shall requirement or mandatory requirement. The red requirement are a mandatory additional IRIS requirement, and we discussed about that supplemental requirement. And the blue requirement out of that are should requirement. It means if you can do it, fine. If you do not implement it, you will not get a higher scope, but it will not come on your way of certification. To get certified, a company has to meet minimum the green requirements and the red requirements. What is this green requirement and what is this red requirement? If you see the 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, all green, no red and no blue. It means the ISO requirements are sufficient even to meet the IRIS requirement. There is no additional requirement in clause number 4.2, 4.3, and 4.1. Apparently, it looks same. Actually, it is not same, because the context of the organization, expectation, and the understanding needs and expectation of those internal and external stakeholders obviously is much more elaborate when we look at the railway perspective. But the requirement clause wise, there's no change. if you look at some of the clauses, for example, 5.2, which is talks about the policy. The policy, yeah, the green requirement, because there's a quality policy requirement in the green, the ISO requirement. And it additionally says that your quality policy should include the failure prevention. So that becomes additional requirement. It also talks about the safety policy, product safety policy, not environment, health, and safety policy. So when you say policy, so these are additional requirement you have to implement to make it compliant to the IRIS requirement. Similarly, if you look at the point number 6.1, which is risk and opportunity, the ISO says that based on the 4.1 and 4.2, context of the organization and need expectation of the stakeholders, you identify the risk. That's it. It doesn't go beyond that. But IRIS additionally says that uh, you need to have a documented risk management process. That's a red requirement. You need to have documented risk management process. You need to define the frequency, at what frequency you will be reviewing your risks and taking appropriate action. So if, and then you need to define the threshold limit. Beyond that, you'll be taking action. So these are all mandatory requirement, because supplemental requirement of IRIS. So that becomes the red requirement of 6.1. Now, what is then blue? There are three things in the blue requirement of 6.1 they talk about. It says you should include internal and external customers for doing the risk assessment. It means if you can include your suppliers and if your customer while doing risk assessment, that's an indication of a very mature system. Is it possible in Indian context to start to a new company? May not be possible, but that will not come on your way of certification because it's a blue requirement. But obviously, in this clause, you will not get very high score. Second says the risk which you are telling, the certain clause when you say risk is low, it should be in line with your QDC, which is quality deficiency cost, which is very similar like in automotive you talk about the cost of poor quality. So it means your risk register, when you say it should not happen, you say risk is less and then you are finding customer complaint, you're finding customer warranty issue, field issue, and you say my risk is low. There has to be correlation of that. If your system is that mature, then you are under blue requirement. So similarly, for each clause, you find a certain area which ISO talks about, IRIS requirement, because supplemental requirement will be added, that becomes the red, and the should requirement is added as a part of IRIS requirement. When we, as an auditor, when we go, we look at, are you meeting the green requirement, red requirement? Are you meeting? Then if you're not meeting, then we say not meeting minimum. There are minor issues. Then you say minor NC, we give 1 point. If you're meeting, we give 2 points. Totally not meeting, a 0 point. Then if you are meeting, then we go on the red side, blue side. Are you exceeding the requirement? And then we give 3 point or 4 point depending upon what the should questions are addressed by your company. So that's how this whole system works. This is the only standard where the score is given end of the audit. So it is not like other standard where say last year 4 NC was there, this year 3 NC was there, it means my NCs are reduced, my system is mature. It is not like this. Here a score is given. So you can say last year what was my percentage of score on enabler, what was my score on the customer perception side, what is my score on the process performance side, and what is this year's scores. So that drives a continuous improvement process in the company, because whatever area you work, you will find improvement of those areas in the subsequent year's audit. So that's how the whole system works. There are certain requirements which are red only. There's no green. For example, the business planning, look at 6.4. It means this is not in ISO. So it's absolutely new requirement for you. Similarly, you also look at 8.1, which is operational planning and control. It talks about when you relocate your process or when you outsource your process, what control you need to have. So three things they have identified. You need to do feasibility analysis, you need to do risk analysis, and you need to do FAI. This requirement is given as a part of 8.1, not in ISO 9001, therefore it is all red. Go on for the left hand side, 8. RAMs and LCC, not in ISO, so fully red. Look at 8.11, innovation management, all blue, that not red, not green. It means this requirement is all should requirement, not mandatory to implement. It says you need to have innovation. How do you manage the innovation in your company? Obviously, if you want to get a better score, then you need to have this process in place. So this is in short, in nutshell, this RS standard structure is there. Requirements are there. Obviously, it requires 2-3 days to explain in detail. I tried to give you a flavor of it in a short little time, whatever was available with us. Some of the requirements I would like to share more in detail a little bit, just to understand the more of a practical understanding of these concepts. Railway, more or less, is a tender business. Some cases it comes, if you are dealing with a private player like Alstom or Favely, you may get RFQs. But it's is when those players they normally bid, they will bid for tender. So all this metro, these orders are back through the tendering process. So IRIS talks about a very structured tender management process. You need to have a tender management process, how you are handling the tender, how you are understanding the requirement, because tender, if you miss any requirement, see the challenge in tender is, if you are not understood the requirement and underquoted, you will get the order, but then once you understand, it's too late, because you have to meet the requirement, you will incur the losses. We have a very clear case. There's a company in Calcutta. I'll not take the name, it's not fair to me. It's a Japanese company, big company, and they had a huge loss of 300-400 crores because they misunderstood the requirement, and they have decided they will wind up the business from India. It's a global company, very very big company. So if you're misunderstood the requirement or missed any requirement, then you may underquote, and then you will incur the losses. If you misunderstood and overquoted, then you will not get the business. So it's very important that while looking at the tender, you should understand the requirement correctly. This also comes as a part of requirement management, how the functional requirements are understood, how RAMS and LCC requirements are understood, and how those are evaluated by the cross-functional team in the purpose of meeting those requirements. So you'll find very detailed requirement management here as a part of uh, extension of the tender management. Now these are the projects. It is not like automotive business or telecom business where you say once you get approved as a supplier, once your product gets approved, every month these many parts will go without any for years after year. So just assume a tender is open for say Mumbai RS15 line, a new line has been line extension has taken place, and the Mumbai Metro has floated a tender. Alstom has quoted for it, they got it. There may be 16 trains at tender. Now for 16 only the train, and the cost is quoted for 16. The supplier also will get the braking system guy will get a brake system for 16 train set, and similarly the bogie will get number of bogies required will be calculated for 16. That's the project. You don't know 17 will come or not come. It may not come actually, because tender is only for 16. How do you manage the project in terms of the cost, in terms of timeline, in terms of profitability? That is a project. I always give example, even though it has become very old now, but say Delhi Metro, when in 2005 it was launched, the per coach cost was, per train set cost was 10 crore. When the Bangalore Metro was launched, the tender opened, it was 7.3 crore in 2015. So 10 years down the line, the cost became lesser than how much? So 7 points from 10 to 7.3. And inflation and the other costs have gone significantly up. But still, the company who have got in 7.3 crore per train set, they'll be making the calculated or assumed or anticipated profit. So how to manage the project in such a way so that you design, you manufacture, and you still manage the profit? Not only the profit, but you have to deliver also on time, because there'll be penalties if you don't supply on time. Your loss of reputation, loss of revenue, penalties. So many issues are there. So project start from the time you get the order, and the end time depends upon what is the time frame. A typical metro project is a 2 year cycle. So 2 years the warranty period, or even Indian Railway also asks 2 years warranty. If supplying to Indian Railway, any component they say you have to support up to warranty. Warranty means 2 years. But look at the RRTS project, the Agra Kanpur Meerut Delhi Meerut project, or Agra Kanpur project. It has come with the 15 years of the warranty. It means this project life cycle is up to 15 years, because you can't afford that initial cost you have calculated while projecting. You did a costing for design, you did the costing for the manufacturing, and you did the costing for maintenance, because you have to bear, you have quoted for 15 as the maintenance cost. If you if you incur the losses, if you make the money in the first two phases but incur the loss in the maintenance, then the project will go on a negative side, or the losses. So that's important, that each phase, right from design phase, manufacturing phase, and the maintenance phase, it has to be managed in such a way so that the anticipated results can come up, and the cost, the project cost can be also, you can make the anticipated profits, and you can deliver the project on timeline. So the project management is a very important element uh, of this railway business. Next is the configuration management. Now, when a train runs for 35 years, you will see the technology getting changes, the material getting obsolete, the supplier getting closed, the shops, businesses. How do you maintain the train after 30 to 35 years? You should know which train, which configuration, which serial number product, which design, which whatever design of the product is running, so that you can maintain it. In case of breakdown, you can give a replacement of that. So how do you maintain the traceability of that, configuration of that? That comes as a part of configuration management. It may not be similarly relevant for the product which is having life cycle for 3 years or 5 years, like commodity products, or you have, it may not be relevant for the auto industry to that extent, which is having life of 10 years. But for 35 years, everything will change. So that's how the configuration and management is requirement here, and very relevant for the type of business the railway has. Ramps in LCC. So the cost is reliability, availability, maintainability, and safety. There has to be target. So when the tender is given, it is also given with respect to the cost of the, what is the RAM's target for the product. So Delhi Metro, Agra Metro, or you said Bangalore Metro, Kochi Metro, Pune Metro, all these projects have been given tender. There would be requirement for the RAMs. This is what my reliability requirement, my MTBF requirement, MTTR requirements, life cycle cost targets, and it has to be met by supplier. First article inspection, nothing but like a PPAP. How do you approve the part? How do you approve the part, and how do you approve the supplier part? How do you approve your part before it is approved for the serial production? And so the process is called first article inspection, FAI. Very similar what you follow in automotive industry as by name PPAP. Obsolescence management. 35 years, a lot of things will obsolete, a lot of technology will obsolete. Even if you see your window platforms, after 10 years you don't support. You could look at the mobile phones. After some time, when they become obsolete, they will the manufacturer start supporting them. You do not get updates for that. Then your system gets bugged and stops working. Same thing can happen in the train. Same thing happens in the train also. So how do you would have heard various projects which are, you say this particular line is getting upgraded, this particular signaling system is getting upgraded, because they are based on old technology which is getting obsolete. You have to upgrade them, otherwise they will not be able to function. But how do you still manage the obsolete knowledge, obsolete part, obsolete system to be functional as long as it is possible, by keeping the stock of those old revision number parts or technology part, or by having a second source? So there are various techniques have been identified, methods have been identified in this tool. And the process review, the only standard where the process review has been asked to this extent. There are 22 mandatory processes. Each process has to be reviewed exclusively with the presence of senior management, in terms of what resources are required, whether the process is giving me desired output or not, whether risks are there in the process, whatever risks are there, what are the risk mitigation plan for that process is, whether the risk mitigation plan is still working, targets are achieved, not achieved, risks which are anticipated, mitigated, are they no longer the risk or they are not the risk? Are you getting those type of failures because of those risks which you say the process is well controlled or the risks are well mitigated? The process review once in a year, each process out of 22 processes have to be reviewed. That's again a very unique requirement, not there in any of the other standards. These are the 22 mandatory processes which are required in IRIS, and they have to be documented. Out of this, if you see, the 5 are given by the dark color. One is the design development, second is the EPPS, which is a purchasing process, third is the production process, fourth is the requirement management, and the project management. These 5 processes, we as an external agency, when we go for audit, every year we review it. We give a score against this, which gives a which is known as your process performance score. However, as a company, you're supposed to document all these processes. The recommended method is turtle diagram. So you need to add turtle for these 22 processes, and you need to review each of these 22 processes by the process owner separately. Management has to be present in those processes. You cannot say as a part IMR in half an hour I reviewed every process. There is only eyewash. You have to, so 22 process, you can review 2 processes in a month or 3 processes in a month, and you can spread across so that you can give adequate time for each process in terms of process maturity. So 22 processes, 22 processes I have defined. And other concept here is KO question. The KO are the knockout questions. See, there are 10 knockout areas. Uh, if those knockout questions are not addressed, then the company cannot be certified. So while auditing, when we find knockout questions, knockout areas not working or not effectively implemented, there are major issues, then that becomes a major NC, or audit has to be stopped. The first one is risk management. Second one is the competence management. The third KO is a project management. The fourth KO is a configuration management. The fifth KO is a change management. The sixth KO is a requirement management, and seventh KO is basically EPPS, purchasing process, where you say that you need to have a documented process for how you're controlling your suppliers, outsource processes, and other things. The 3 processes, last 3, which are, so first 7 are always applicable. If you see that, it's always applicable. You cannot say required management not applicable for me, or EPPS is not applicable for me, or previous slide when you talk about change management is not applicable for me. It is always applicable. The last 3 can be put as not applicable if you have a proper justification. So you may be a company where there is no special process. You can say this is excluded for me. It is not applicable for me, considering the type of business I am into. RAMs and LCC may not be applicable for you because type of business you are into that. Somebody is giving you a drawing, you're manufacturing it, and or giving you you are doing a painting outsourcing company, or you're doing heat treatment for somebody, and you want to implement IRIS. You may say that whatever specifications are given to me for performing this activity, I'm doing that. So RAMs and LCC is not applicable to me. And then the first article inspection. If you are in an industry where uh, typically for the design companies who want to design only, so for them they are not producing any article, they are not producing the mass product. So for them the first article inspection is not applicable. So these 3 can be put as a not applicable, provided you need to have a proper justification. Every audit we go and we are supposed to review all these 10 KOs, because there's a possibility that last year we went and a special process was not there, but this year when we went, you got a one product which is having a special process. The special process is also very broad here, right from the riveting, the gluing, the painting, the heat treatment, the plating, So many other processes are which are the special processes in railway. If you see railway, if you see the guideline of the special process, there are many more processes. Even the talking, there are many processes which gets classified. So first thing is go through the guideline. Let's look at it. Am I doing any of those processes which are considered a special process? And then you see how to apply it. The three-pillar assessment, as I shared before, also. So you get an enabler score which talks about maturity of the each of the requirement of the standard. In terms of score, we give 0 to 4, so that gives you an enabler score. Customer perception score talks about how you're perceived in the eyes of the customer in terms of quality performance, delivery performance, and customer satisfaction. And the process performance evaluation is how your KPIs are performing for those 5 processes, and also how your compliance of those processes in those 5 processes. So there's a matrix, 5 by 5 matrix, and based on that we give the score. And based on this, you may be wondering what is the benefit and what is the bonus for implementing those blue requirement. See, obviously, green and red requirement, if you don't implement, you will not get certified. But if you only implement the blue and the red requirement, you get a score which will give you bronze level. However, for the silver level, and if you implement only the green and red, you get a score around 62%. But if you go to the silver level, if you want to go to silver level, your score of this should be 70, 75, and 80. 70% enabler score, 75% customer perception, and 80% the process performance. That's only possible if you implement some of the blue requirements, not many of the blue requirements. And the gold level talks about even higher, 80, 85, and 90% requirement. As of now, worldwide, only one company which is having gold level. India, there are, I think, 24 companies which are certified silver level. So this is a reason for or motivation for a company, or reason for a company to go for those blue level questions or high maturity questions, which drives you for the high maturity system in your company. Why DQS? DQS is the pioneer in this. We have 6 auditors in India, which are called 2 in Bangalore, 2 in Delhi, 1 in Pune, and 1 in Baroda, Gujarat. We have 6 auditors located. So with all 20 scopes. So whatever product you are making, or whatever product you want to make in future, we'll be able to provide you local auditor from the India. We have a global leadership right from the first certificate issued worldwide. We are market leader globally in IRIS, and also in India we are number 1 in India with 37% market share. High acceptance among 4 OEMs. Out of 4 OEMs, 3 are certified by us, and we have a fastest certificate turnover time. Certificate is issued within a week after closure of NCRs. So even though our general DQS presentation says 14 days, but in IRIS we are able to issue within a week, in fact. And that is all the 50 customers which are certified. You can ask any other customer. In every case, the certificate is issued within a week's time. What is the certification process if you want to go for certification? You need to first register on the portal. That's a one-time registration fee. This time CB is not in the picture. So please do not expect your certification body to do registration on behalf of you. You as a company, you have to contact the IRIS portal, register yourself. They will charge you somewhere around 500 euros for that registration fee. That you have to pay directly to them. And that also you have to pay in euros. They don't charge into Indian rupees. Typically it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get registered. So do not wait for system to be implemented and then you say, we have a case where a company came to us that we want next week audit. They are not registered. We say, you are not registered, boss, so you have to register. Registration took 6 weeks. Even though they were ready, we were ready, but we could not start the audit. So company has to first register on the portal. So you have to register on the portal. There's a one-time registration fee, no valid, no expiry of it. So your money will not be forfeited. Don't wait for the last moment and please register if you want to go for IRIS. While registering, you have to also select the certification body there. So you select, for example, if you select DQS there, we will get a message that this company wants to work with you, and we can approach customer for quotation. In India, it works differently. People say, sir, how can I select you when I do not know your commercials? When I select you, then you will charge any money, then we cannot do anything. We say, okay, you take quotation from us, you take quotation from others, you compare, you look at our competency, look at our strength, our auditors, our customers, then you decide. Then they register. But still, before you go for the audit, 3-4 months before, you have to register, because 6 to 8 weeks itself will take the registration. And then you have to go for the green one is stage one review, stage one audit, and the last one is stage two audit. Before the stage one audit, 60 days before, you have to submit the data. So if you have a plan to, suppose in June you want to go for certification, April you have to submit the data. For April submitting the data, you have to register somewhere in March only in the portal. So this is a very lengthy process, this IRIS. So implementation is one challenge, but following the process with advanced planning is a second challenge. So please plan for that. Once the stage one is done, the stage two has to be done within 60 days. If the stage two is not done within 60 days, the audit becomes null and void. Stage one, then you have to do stage one once again. Therefore, when we block the stage one audit date, we also block the stage two audit dates together, because first of all, tool does not come if you don't put those date. Second, they want us to plan both the audit, because later on it should not happen that auditor is not available for the next 60 days. Then stage one becomes null and void. How to register on the portal? You go to the iris.org portal. If you see, there's the application section. In the application section, there's a becoming member is there. So first you go to the iris portal, then you click on tap application. Once your application, you tick it there, you will find a form. You have to fill that form. That form will have information like company name, website name. Then once you fill the form and submit it, then after some days they will review. So iris will review your information, whether you are genuinely supplying to railway segment or not, who are your customers, which projects you have completed. Everything is put as a, you have to put as a part of form. Once they certify that you are meeting the iris requirement, applicability requirement, they will send you the payment link, and then you make the payment. The whole process takes 6 to 8 weeks, and then after paying the payment also, the registration, the account takes some time to get activated. That's why I'm telling 6 to 8 weeks. And then you will get a mail after some day that your account is activated, and this is your activation details. So that is how the portal registration process. People struggle sometime to register. That's why we have added this slide for better understanding of the people, that how to register yourself on the portal. So that's all from our side. I hope that we also, time is up. I think it's 6:15. So we wanted to give you in the shortest available time the maximum information which we can give. I hope this information would have been useful for you. I know there can be many questions from your side. Let me take some of the questions.
Good evening, all. My name is Mahantesh. So I would request all, if you have any doubts and clarification, please write down in your chat box. So first question which I have in my chat box is this standard applicable to operation and maintenance of railway?
It is not applicable for operation, but yes, it is applicable for the maintenance. So because it is for manufacturing, design, and maintenance. So metros, they are supposed to maintain the train, and for maintenance, they can implement iris, and they can also get certified for that. In fact, not the metro, because they also outsource this activity now these days to third parties after warranty. See, first 2 years warranty, the system integrators they maintain, and after 2 years the metros are supposed to maintain themselves. So we have seen cases where they outsource. So there are agencies who have done for, say, Lucknow Metro, Delhi Metro. We have audited many of those agencies and certified them for iris. So it is possible for maintenance only, not for operation, in short.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is, does electrical traction equipment OEM comes under IRIS?
Yes, the traction motor and traction equipment comes as a part of, I think the scope is iris 08, so it comes as a part of iris.
Okay, thank you. The next question is it applicable for seat and berth?
Yes, seat and berth comes as a part of Iris Scope 7, which is interiors. So if you're manufacturing seat, you are eligible for Iris. Anything which goes in the train, right from mirror, seat, curtains, I would say stands, the toilets, the showers, the fan, anything which goes inside the train, if you are supplying that, is going inside the train, you are eligible for Iris.
Okay. So, the next question is how is contractor management addressed? Railways rely a lot on subcontracting.
See, subcontract when you say that is why typically when the tender is awarded and when we see the tender, it is mainly for design, manufacturing, and installation of those items. So typically you will find this Indian Railway particularly, you will find that the guys are or companies are manufacturing those, say even as simple as that, the windows, the HVACs. So they not only they will make it, but they will go to the site and they will also install it. And so the scope is also installation and commissioning and testing. Those subcontractors, they do that. And when we go to there are two part of it. When we audit a railway, we look at it, what is the control of these subcontractors? Because typically they will have one supervisor who monitors this contractor performance and they control that. When we are auditing the supplier side, the contractor side, we see that how they are commissioning and how they are installing it. So it all depends that which side we are auditing that. But both the way, if it is a contractor, we also go to the site, we sample from the site and we see how they are performing the installation process under controlled condition, including the competency of the people, availability of the installation instructions, availability of the calibrated instrument. All those things we look at and verify.
Okay. So the next question is most of the questions are coming like is it applicable for SCADA and data acquisition system, or is IRIS applicable for power distribution panel manufacturer for traction power?
Yeah, it is applicable for panel manufacturing because panel is coming, I think, Iris 11. It comes as a part of Iris 11, and it is applicable for power transmission equipment also. However, if you have more, you want more specific information, you can write to us. So we have this DQS ID, email ID is written here. You can also write to this chat box. We'll write you the email ID. You can write to us, and we can very clearly tell you which is Iris scope. It is falling under falling. But most of the equipment which you said, they fall under Iris scope.
Okay. So the next question is organization MFG process is dependent on contractor. So what will be the challenge for getting IRIS?
See, today's time, I think the subcontracting is the reality. So you cannot avoid the subcontracting part. However, the biggest challenge is that how you what are the standards is what is the extent of control you have on the subcontractor. Now, when you say extent of control, you start from right from the selection time. When you select a subcontractor, then standards say you should not only select on the cost basis, you also select on various other platform, other requirement like uh, what type of system they have, what type of infrastructure they have, and what type of people they have, competency they have, what type of customer they are handling, and life cycle cost. All those things, the criteria has been, you have to define that, because if you're selecting a wrong guy, then monitoring you will get only the bad monitoring parameters. So first thing is you select a right guy. That is why you see the metro project, when the many of the Indian companies who are trying, who are supplying to the railway, when they want to enter into metro supplies, they are not getting qualified because those metro players, they are feeling that their quality is not up to their requirement, their mark. So first selection itself, you will screen that the supplier subcontractor should be good. Then second part is the monitoring. How do you monitor their performances so that they continue to meet your requirement? So the outsourcing cannot be avoided. However, you need to control it by having right types of contractor and regularly monitoring their performance and giving them feedback. Any correction or improvement is required from their side, giving them feedback. So by this you can manage, still manage the outsourcing process.
Okay, so the last question which I have, remaining questions we can answer through email. So the last question is, powder coating and painting will be considered as a special process?
Yeah, that's a very obvious special process. See, a special process is any process where the output cannot be verified by the subsequent inspection. So in powder coating or plating, what do? You can only check the thickness. So you use DFT meter and you check the thickness. But what is the purpose of the powder coating and painting? Is not the thickness. The purpose is there should not be corrosion. So adhesiveness is important. The moment you check the adhesiveness by scratch test, by bend test, by peel off test, or by salt spray test, the part is gone. So because you cannot check the output of the process, you control the process, and that is why it is called a special process. And those special process has to be controlled by controlling the process parameter, controlling the operator qualification, controlling the environmental condition, all those things. Other than output, you are controlling, assuming the output will be controlled in that way. And one thing I want to talk about, you just add on the previous question. You said outsourcing. The standard, if you remember, I said 8.1 operational control is a additional requirement here. It really very clearly talks about when you're outsourcing any process, uh, you have to first do feasibility. Is it feasible to outsource this process? Whether there is anybody who can do this quality of the work. And you have to do risk analysis. If I outsource it, whatever risk is involved in that process, whether they will be able to meet my technical requirement, my timeline requirement, my other requirement, reliability requirement of the part. And the third, so you do feasibility analysis, you do risk analysis, and then you define whatever controls you need. So it has to be a very structured process when you're outsourcing the activity to the subcontractor. And if everything is done and meeting your requirement, then the risk is very limited.
Okay, so thank you so much for clarifying the all questions, sir. So for remaining questions, we will answer through mail. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. It was pleasure from DQS side to organize this session. We will be happy to address any of your queries related to the subject, related to the certification, related to the implementation. No, please write to us, and with your contact number, in case we are not able to understand your question clearly, we'll call you back and try to understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Girish. Thank you, Mantesh. Thank you.